3 years ago, my mom called and said she needed to buy some medicine. Nothing expensive, just a few basic cold pills. I said, hang on, I'll transfer the money right now. But when I opened my banking app, my balance was $43. I was working 3 jobs, staying up until 2 a.m. every night. I wasn't lazy, I wasn't spending recklessly, and yet, I couldn't even afford to buy my mom a pack of medicine. That's when I realized, working harder doesn't make you rich. You need a system. You need discipline. You need tiny habits, repeated consistently, unnoticed by most, but powerful enough to change everything. I didn't change my life through luck. I did it through 15 tiny habits, simple things that anyone can do, but almost no one sticks with long enough to see the difference. Habit number 1, automate investing. Before spending. I don't save by seeing what's left at the end of the month. I let the system do it for me. The moment money comes in, 10% is automatically transferred to my investment account. No thinking, no decision needed. At first, it wasn't much, but after a few months, I looked back. It wasn't just money, it was a sense of control. Habit number 2, track every dollar. Even that $2 coffee, I downloaded a spending tracker app. Every time I spent money, I logged it, not to cut back, but to see clearly. That's when I realized I was spending over $250 a month on things I couldn't even remember buying. I wasn't putting myself on a strict budget. I just stopped letting money slip through my fingers without noticing. Habit number 3, learn about money, 1 hour a week. I didn't learn about money to become an expert. I learned so I wouldn't feel clueless around it anymore. 1 hour a week, while walking, washing dishes, or waiting for a ride. Podcasts, YouTube, books. No note-taking, no pressure. But 1 hour a week, after a few months, changed the way I saw the world. I started with just these 3 small habits. No one noticed, no one praised me, no one knew. But after 6 months, I had an emergency fund. After 1 year, I started investing seriously, and after 2 years, I never had to say no to my mom because of money again. You don't become wealthy overnight. You become wealthy step by step, habit by habit, choice by choice. I used to believe that wealth belonged to other people, to people with better backgrounds, smarter people, luckier people. I used to feel shame just thinking about money. When someone talked about investing, I tuned out. When someone showed off success, I'd think, they probably had someone backing them. I wasn't broke just because I had no money. I was broke because I believed I didn't belong in that world. Then one day, I heard this quote: "If you feel uncomfortable when people talk about money, it probably means you need to face it." And so I began to change, not by studying complex finance, but by peeling off the old beliefs, one layer at a time. Habit number 4. Write down one thing you did well today. I bought a small notebook. Every night I wrote just one sentence. What did I do well today? Not something huge, just, I got up on time, I didn't buy junk, I sent that email I was afraid to send. After 1 month, I had 30 lines, 30 pieces of proof that I wasn't as useless as I once believed. Habit number 5. Ask yourself each morning, what am I living for? I put this question on my phone's lock screen, so every time I unlock it, I'm forced to read, what am I living for today? It pulls me out of the noise, deadlines, news, drama. It brings me back to my why, the real reason I started this journey. Habit number 6. Spend 5 minutes in silence each day. I used to be afraid of silence, because when it was quiet, I could hear the voices in my head, the doubt, the criticism, the fear. But I learned to sit still, no music, no phone, nothing, just breathing, listening, observing. In those 5 quiet minutes, I could finally see what I needed to do and what I needed to let go of. Clarity doesn't come from caffeine, it comes from silence. Habit number 7. Say no without feeling guilty. I used to be a yes person. If someone asked for help, I said yes. If someone invited me somewhere, I went. I was afraid of letting people down, but in the end, the person I was letting down the most was me. Now I don't say no to people. I say no to the things that pull me away from the path I've chosen. 4 small habits. No hype, no glory, but slowly, they helped me break out of the mental box I didn't even know I was trapped in. I started to feel different, think different, act different, and the world started responding differently to me. You want to build wealth? Start within, because wealth never arrives before you believe you're worthy of it. I used to be the kind of person who was super motivated, but did nothing. I'd watch inspiring videos, nod my head, say this is it, time to change, and then scroll on my phone for 2 more hours. I thought I lacked knowledge, but what I really lacked was a system. You don't get a fit body from working out only when you feel like it, and you don't build wealth by just wanting it badly. Real change doesn't come from hype, it comes from structure. Simple, small, consistent. Habit number 7. Say no without feeling guilty. I used to be a yes person. If someone asked for help, I said yes. If someone invited me somewhere, I went. I was afraid of letting people down, but in the end, the person I was letting down the most was me. Now I don't say no to people. I say no to the things that pull me away from the path I've chosen. 4 small habits. No hype, no glory, but slowly, they helped me break out of the mental box I didn't even know I was trapped in. I started to feel different, think different, act different, and the world started responding differently to me. You want to build wealth? Start within, because wealth never arrives before you believe you're worthy of it. I used to be the kind of person who was super motivated, but did nothing. I'd watch inspiring videos, nod my head, say this is it, time to change, and then scroll on my phone for 2 more hours. I thought I lacked knowledge, but what I really lacked was a system. You don't get a fit body from working out only when you feel like it, and you don't build wealth by just wanting it badly. Real change doesn't come from hype, it comes from structure. Simple, small, consistent. Habit 8. Audit your finances every month. On the last day of each month, I sit down for exactly 30 minutes. No phone, no TV, no distractions. I open up my spending tracker, and I divide every expense into 3 categories. Essentials, food, rent, utilities. Joy, coffee, friends, a good book. Future, investments, new skills, personal brand. I don't force myself into extreme frugality. I don't cut out happiness. I just make sure that a part of my income is always sent to the future, to the stronger, wiser, and freer version of me. Over time, this monthly audit became more than just tracking numbers. It became a compass, showing me whether I'm living in alignment with my values. And when I'm off track, I adjust. We don't need to earn more to feel free. We need to understand and take ownership of every dollar we already have. Habit number 9. Dress simply to decide less. Steve Jobs wore a black turtleneck every day, not because he couldn't afford other clothes, but because he wanted to save his brain for the things that truly mattered. I followed that idea. Now my wardrobe is filled with clothes I can wear without thinking. Outfits that don't drain a single drop of energy from my morning. When you cut down on the small decisions, you free up your focus for the big ones. Habit number 10. Schedule creation, not just when you feel like it. I used to write when I was inspired, film videos when I had free time, work whenever I felt like it. And the result? Nothing consistent, nothing meaningful. Now I have a schedule. Monday, write scripts. Wednesday, edit content. Friday, publish videos. No more waiting for motivation. Just showing up. Results don't come from bursts of inspiration. They come from ordinary discipline, repeated over and over again. Habit number 11. Invest in yourself, quarterly. Every 3 months, I set aside a small amount of money to learn something new. It doesn't have to be a fancy course. Sometimes it's just a book, an app, or a short coaching session. I treat it as an investment, not an expense. Because every time I learn something new, it opens another window to the world. People often ask me, how do you stay consistent? Here's the truth. I don't have extraordinary willpower. I just built a system, so simple it doesn't even require willpower. Success doesn't come from trying hard every day. It comes from turning progress into your default setting, where you don't have to think, you just move forward. You already have the knowledge. You already have the motivation. Now it's time to schedule your dream. I used to think I needed a big break, a lucky turn, a miracle. But after 3 years of living differently, I realized nothing big ever comes unless you begin with the small. Money doesn't create itself. Opportunities don't knock out of nowhere. But each small habit I committed to, each action I repeated, changed how the world saw me, how I saw myself, and slowly, everything began to shift. Habit number 12. Send one sincere message every week. Once a week, I choose one person, an old colleague, a former classmate, or someone I admire, and I send them a sincere message. Not to ask for anything, not to promote myself, just to say, I see what you're doing. It matters. Thank you. 90% never reply, but the remaining 10%, they've led to things I never expected. A coffee meeting, a project offer, a collaboration invitation. The world doesn't connect through resumes, it connects through sincerity. Habit number 13. Share what you learn. I used to keep everything to myself, knowledge, skills, experiences. But over time, I realized value only grows when you give it away. So I started sharing the things I learned, online, in conversations, even in short emails. I didn't preach, I just shared. And surprisingly, people started seeing me as someone who knows their stuff. Want to build a personal brand? Don't try to appear perfect. Start by sharing something real, from a real experience. Habit number 14. Improve by just 1% each month. I never tried to change myself overnight. No dramatic makeovers. No new me slogans. Instead, I asked, what can I do just 1% better this month? 1 extra glass of water each day, writing 10 minutes faster, reading 10 more pages. No one noticed, but after 12 months, I had changed completely. Not into a perfect version of me, but into a version strong enough to never go back to who I was. Habit number 15. Ask yourself, what are you living by? I don't always have the answer, but I've learned to check my compass often. Each week, I spend 10 quiet minutes writing, what am I doing really well? What's pulling me away from my values? Success isn't just about earning more. It's about earning without losing who you are. 15 tiny habits. Nothing strange, nothing magical, but they changed my life. Bit by bit, day by day, decision by decision. If you're out there searching for something big to turn your life around, you might be overlooking the small things you do every single day. You don't need to start with all 15 habits. Just pick one, start today, repeat it, until it slowly redefines who you are. If this message resonated with you, don't forget to follow or subscribe, so that every week you can take one small step closer to the freedom you truly deserve. You don't have to be special to begin, but you do have to begin to become someone special.